If you took a photo of Singapore, what would it look like? Would you capture its rich diversity of culture and the little things that bring you joy? Well, for contemporary artist and photographer Nguan, Singapore is not just made of still skyscrapers and spotless highways. To Nguan, this is the real Singapore. After spending years overseas, Nguan wanted to capture the hidden charms of his ever-changing home city in this photographic series. He does this by taking photos with his old film camera from the 1990s. A photography series usually has images that share the same idea, colors, and even style. Nguan only takes photos during the last 2 hours of sunlight to create his famous fantasy look, an idea that was inspired by his childhood. Every Sunday, his parents would drive him to his grandfather's home in Pasir Panjang. He would spot a majestic lion on a building's rooftop, reminding him of fairy tale stories. Through people, places, and little details of home, Nguan's dreamy photographs highlight the sometimes forgotten stories and icons of everyday life in Singapore that showcase Nguan's own relationship with his childhood home. Let's look at this photo. What do you see? There is an elderly man who is using a public payphone at a neighborhood coffee shop. He sits on a bright red plastic chair that you can easily find in coffee shops across Singapore. What is he doing? I think he was trying to make a phone call. Well, in the past, we usually use public phones to call one another. That too using coins. Why do you think Nguan captured so many people in the background? They look like they are far away from the man, and even each other, either eating or reading newspapers in their own little worlds, even when they are seated right next to one another. By doing this, Nguan helps us to notice the feeling of loneliness, a theme that you'll see in Nguan's Singapore series. Even when we can easily reach people through technology, we might not feel so connected in real life. Have you ever been in this same situation before? I'll let you in on a little secret. Everyone has felt lonely at some point of their lives. Even Nguan himself enjoys having such time alone, to sit down and reflect on his own. It is normal to feel lonely, especially when everyone is trying to fit in. Let's take another look at this artwork. It captures a moment in time. Do you ever wonder what happens before and after a photo is taken? Nguan encourages us to think about these moments. That's why his photos are taken in the middle of a story. It's up to us to create our own before and after. Nguan's photos also help us remember the places where we made memories, even when these places no longer exist. Before we look at the next photo, I want you to think about a place where you'd have fun. I'll give you a hint. Where do you think I'm going? Do you remember what your favorite playground looks like? Does it even still exist? Well, I'd imagine it might look something like this. In this photo, a man is lying down on a pink slide. Wearing a striped blue polo t-shirt, shorts and slippers, he seems to be asleep. I wonder what he was dreaming about in this moment of peace. Let's talk about the colors that Nguan uses in this photo. What colors do you see? I see a bright red sign, healthy green leaves, and even some blues on the playground floor. Even the same blue the old man is wearing from head to toe. This photo highlights Nguan's signature Singapore pink tint that he uses to connect all the photos that are part of this series. It also reminds us of his love for nature, especially for bougainvillea flowers. What do you think the man was doing on the pink slide? Just like how Nguan uses photography to reconnect with his childhood, I imagine this man may too be looking for small ways to relive what life was like when he was a kid. When was the last time you could relax, just like this? What are some ways that you relax? Have you even thought of using a slide like him? As all stories do, we've come to the end. When you look at this picture, what sounds do you imagine hearing? I think of the soothing sounds of flowing waves crashing onto our island shores. Let's take a closer look. What else can you see? There is an elderly woman at the beach. She is dressed in a pink sari, a traditional Indian costume. Who do you think she is, and what could she be doing at the beach? Is she here to pick some seashells or to look at the ships sailing in the sea? I notice she's holding onto a backpack and a water bottle. Do you think they belong to her? Why do you think she's looking to her right? Well, whenever Nguan makes an image, he wants the people, places, and small details to appear as if arranged. Nguan keeps a lookout for the right moment he wants to capture. We can see that Nguan has positioned the lady in the center of the foreground. It is a way to make us think she's alone. But do you really think she is? And are there other people on the beach? Did you notice how the midground of the image shows us islands in the distance? What about the sea? Is it usually empty? And the pale blue sky in the background, with no birds to see? These are all techniques Nguan uses to show us loneliness, a feeling that all of us experience no matter the age. I remember wanting to grow up fast as a child, thinking that adults would have life all figured out. But how do we experience life in full if we never experience the bad and the good? When he was young, Nguan didn't even like photography. But after he had traveled to New York to study filmmaking, he soon had a change of heart. This shows us that as much as life changes, our dreams can change too. A picture is worth 1,000 words. Nguan uses photography to share his stories. That is the power of photography, contemporary art, and Nguan's Singapore.